Welcome to the Scottish Rite Journal podcast, an audio presentation of the Scottish Rite Journal, brought to you by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. This week's article is From the Pages of Amicus Illuminismi, From Medicine to Mysticism, a closer look at the Taylor collection at the House of the Temple, by Brother Chris Ruley, 32nd degree KCCH, and comes from the July-August 2024 issue of the Scottish Rite Journal. In the autumn of 1904, the House of the Temple received the private book collection of a prominent Washington, D.C. physician and Scottish Rite Mason named Dr. Leroy M. Taylor, 33rd degree. Taylor's collection, composed of approximately 2,000 books, became the first significant donation to the Scottish Rite Supreme Council 33rd degree Southern Jurisdiction since Albert Pike's own bequeathal established its library. While the collection's size is impressive, its broad composition of rare and coveted books made the donation all the more significant. During his long life in Washington, Taylor amassed a collection that included books on natural science, philosophy, medicine, politics, history, esoterica, and mysticism, which rivaled even Pike's own library. Despite our historical focus on Pike's collection, Taylor's bequeathal is equally significant and has remained a foundation pillar of the House of the Temple Library for more than a century. If you are a Master Mason, a Scottish Rite Mason, York Rite Mason, Masonic education is absolutely the key to getting the most out of your Masonic experience. Learning about the history, the traditions, the symbolism, and the philosophies of our craft can really have a huge impact on you as a man and as a Mason. So if you're a Mason, you need to check out the Master Craftsman Online College at mastercraftsmancollege.org. This is a state-of-the-art online learning system built by Masons for Masons. The system is easy to use, and even if you're a little intimidated about Masonic education, the Master Craftsman Online College can get you started on that path to more light and free Masonry. Stress-free. You can work at your own pace. You can even print out study guides if you prefer to work with pen and paper rather than working online. There are a couple of free courses available right now, and as a back-to-school special, now through September 30th, 2024, use the promo code SRJ2024 for an additional 20% off of any of our paid courses. So if you're a Master Mason, log on to the mastercraftsmancollege.org and use the promo code SRJ2024 at checkout for 20% off. Dr. Taylor's family moved to Michigan, where he obtained his elementary education, and then Washington, D.C., where he found work as a Senate page, a messenger for the Post Office Department, and a clerk in the General Land Office. Taylor followed in his father's footsteps after the Civil War and entered into the field of medicine. He opened up a drugstore located on the northwest corner of 7th and M Streets in Washington, and later entered into medical practice with his colleague Thomas Kearney. His marriage to Rose Utermela, daughter of a prominent and wealthy family in Washington, enabled Taylor to focus his attention on leisure pursuits and travel. Taylor's interest in Freemasonry began in 1858 when he applied for membership in Federal Lodge No. 1 under the Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia. He was initiated on May 18, 1858. Passed on June 15th, and raised 7 days later on June 22nd. He pursued the appendant bodies much later in his life and appears to have struck up a relationship with Grand Commander Albert Pike. He joined the District of Columbia Scottish Rite on March 4, 1884, receiving the 32nd degree later that year on October 1st. He was elected a Knight Commander of the Court of Honor 2 years later on October 20th, 1886, and coroneted a 33rd degree Inspector General Honorary on October 22nd, 1890. Meanwhile, he joined two other organizations affiliated with Pike, the Masonic Veterans Association of the District of Columbia and the Provincial Grand Lodge of the Royal Order of Scotland. Pike served as chief executive in both organizations. Taylor's life took an unexpected turn after the death of his wife Rose in January 1901. He moved out of the home he had shared with her and took up residence in a large complex or warehouse that he had built to house his ever-growing collection of fine furniture, art, books, and other treasures. Struck with grief over his profound loss, Taylor shut himself off from all but his most intimate friends. He left Washington regularly to travel around the country and the world, and often returned with relics to add to his collection. Stories soon spread around the neighborhood of Taylor's acquisitions and his involvement in the spiritualism movement. Rumors swirled that he had purchased wonderful mirrors that would show the future and books that granted readers supernatural abilities through magic. In September 1904, Taylor left Washington to visit the World's Fair Exposition in St. Louis. He became ill shortly after his return and died on September 27, 1904. His death made headlines across Washington's newspapers, in part due to his well-guarded private lifestyle and residence, which one paper referred to as the last castle in Washington. A few lucky reporters gained access to his home and discovered a labyrinthine interior decorated with ornate furniture and oddities from foreign travels. His library, which also served as his formal sitting room and office, became the centerpiece of each exposé. Taylor decorated the space with lavish Turkish and Persian rugs, fine leather upholstery, and an ornate desk situated on the north end of the room. He installed shelves next to his desk, and each contained glass bottles filled with different materials and chemicals. A hidden button was discovered underneath one glass bottle marked poison that, when pressed, enabled the shelf to slide and expose a secret panel and hidden vault behind the wall. When reporters exited the library into the main corridor, they discovered dozens of locked doors marked with numbers. The lockers and closets bring the number of interior doors to almost 100. No two of the keys are alike, and each key is numbered in accordance with the number electric wiring is attached to every door and window. Taylor's funeral service, a modified Scottish Rite Rose Croix service, was performed at the House of the Temple Library under the supervision of Grand Commander James Richardson, 33rd degree, and members of the D.C. Scottish Rite. His body then was transported to Rock Creek Cemetery and interred by his wife's side. As a final act of his appreciation for the Scottish Rite, Taylor bequeathed his entire book collection to the House of the Temple Library, approximately 2,500 books. He also allocated $500, or $17,000 today, to be used for cataloging and preparing the Taylor collection. Grand Commander Richardson makes the first reference of Taylor's donation in his annual allocution on October 16, 1905. It contains every book obtainable by him on the literature of spiritualism, theosophy, psychology, necromancy, mythology, astronomy, ethnology, religions, secret societies of all ages and countries, and literature bearing on quaint and out-of-the-way subjects. This is the largest and most valuable donation of books ever made to us at one time since Grand Commander Pike. Earlier that year, the House of the Temple Library produced a special 98-page catalog to help navigate the collection. It contains Taylor's portrait, a brief Masonic biography, and a brief description of each book organized by theme. It also included his personal insignia along with the Sanskrit phrase Om Mani Padme Hum, which roughly translates as praise to the jewel in the lotus. Special notes are included with certain books to highlight their rarity or uniqueness. Among the more unique books in the collection are a treatise of the Sibyls, the history of the oracles, exposition of hieroglyphical figures painted upon an arch in St. Innocent's Church in Paris, and magnetic magic. This unique collection has since been added to the library's digital catalog and is available online for public access. The physical books are stored in the main reading room at the House of the Temple. Those interested in accessing the Taylor collection may schedule a visit at the House of the Temple Library. Like and share this article, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you wish to comment, please leave one, and as a reminder, hit the notifications bell. Any accompanying photographs or citations for this article can be found in the corresponding print edition. The Scottish Rite Journal is published by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. Mark Dreisenstock, 33rd degree, Managing Editor. I'm your host, Matt Bowers.